Hey everybody, I'm Dylan. This is Michael. Welcome to Nerdy Nakama. Let's talk anime. Hey everybody, here we are with the fourth episode of Nerdy Nakama. Today we're going to be sticking to talking about the Death Note one-shot that was released, I believe, on February 3rd. This was an amazing, I think it was 80-page one-shot that they decided to bring back of the story. They made it very modern. And yeah, figured we talk about that today since One Piece was on break last week and we still are waiting a few more days for that chapter.
Yeah, I'm very disappointed about One Piece, but, Oda needs his breaks every time he can get them.
Yeah, he had some health scares back in the day, and I think after that, fans really stood behind him on making sure that he took his time off when he needed to, because him being alive to finish the series was more important than the series getting finished fast. Kind of like George R. R. Martin, everyone's kind of hoping the guy stays alive long enough to finish his books.
Yeah, as long as I can survive to the end of One Piece and he can survive to the end of One Piece, then we're good.
Agreed. So, anyways, this Death Note one shot has me very excited. One thing I like about Death Note between the manga and the original anime is that they did a time difference. So the manga originally takes place in like '03, and the anime starts, I believe, in like '06 or '07. So there's not much, but there was kind of a technology difference. I don't have the exact details, but cell phones, I believe, that were in the anime, that was not part of the manga. And so what I loved about the one shot was the fact that you see Twitter and you see the cameras, and especially over there where other parts of the world are having issues with what they believe to be surveillance states. This manga kind of just proved it.
Yeah, I liked how this manga definitely did the whole camera and new future technology and everything that we're going through. It really brought you in a little bit more than trying to read Death Note in today's era, where it's like, how could he have gotten away with that on the
Exactly.
subway?
And they also make many points in there that, Kira could not do the same thing nowadays that he did back then. Not only from the way technology has changed, but because everyone is aware of what he did.
Yeah, it's like he became that kind of god deity for a little bit, but then after his reign ended, they realized exactly how he did everything, and it wasn't as mysterious or magical as they once thought.
Exactly. One thing I loved how this thing started off, the whole premise behind what spawned this little adventure of Ryuk's. He just wanted some apples.
Yeah, that was a really good point. I really like that.
I think it was probably the most Death Note reason that they could have found for this one shot to have taken place. So
yeah, especially how quick technically in Shinigami time it would be after Light died. Like Ryuk would have been up there for just a couple years before he came back down.
yeah, it wouldn't have been very long. I mean, he died in what was considered, I think, 2010 it was about 2013 in the anime, I think is what happened, because they were later than the manga. And obviously this takes place, 2020? It starts off 2 years before when the kid's in middle school, Minoru Tanaka.
Yeah.
And the kid, smartly enough, says, I can't do this right now, it needs to wait, But I love how Ryuk just drops down and he's just like, I think this is the guy, and kind of boops his head with it, and, and it's just like, that's it. What's up, guy?
Then he
I'm teaming to death.
completely freaks out about it, which is the reasonable thing to do when a Shinigami pops in your face like that.
The first thought I had was when L first sees him in the helicopter when they're hanging out there, and he has that freaked out look on his face. Minoru had that same exact kind of outline to his face with just how scared he looked.
Yeah, I really liked a lot of the facial expressions and the shading that they did on a lot of the faces throughout both
great.
Death Note and this one shot. It just translated real well.
I definitely like the fact that they took the time, drawing this out. They did not skimp on a lot of the details. They made sure that this was worth looking at every panel and every page, and not just seeing if you could catch something, but just at how it was drawn. I mean, it was great. It was great to be back in the Death Note world in a story that was better than the last one shot they did, which it wasn't bad, but...
Wait, they had a different Death Note one shot? Did I miss this?
Oh man, okay. So do you want like a brief rundown of it, or should I
Yeah,
give you no spoilers? Okay,
just
okay.
brief rundown so I see if I actually read it or not.
So what happened is you follow a different demon, one that we had already met, but I honestly do not remember which one off the top of my head. And he wants to kind of pull something like Ryuk did. So he decides to give the Shinigami something like 13 apples, and he gets another death note from the Shinigami. I don't know if he just creates it or if he's got extras on hand or what's going on there. But he just hands over another death note to this guy. So this guy goes down to the human world and pretty much boops a random stranger on the head and is like, hey, here, use this. It's a death note, yada, yada, yada. And the person, like, doesn't go killing bad guys. It's like, they do something way different. It's just who they're killing, and it's not like it's innocents or anything, but it's not really bad guys. I don't know. You don't even ever see the person who gets the death note, if I remember right. So,
Oh.
yeah. So, anyways, time goes on, and eventually you just kind of hear that this person eventually kind of went crazy and wrote their own name in the death note, and guy just kind of like, okay, well, that's that. But the good thing about it was you get to meet the Shinigami King for the first time in that one shot.
Oh, okay. Because I think I did see something about that where people thought that, well, they were saying that Shinigami was actually Light after he died, but I don't know if I buy too much into that little theory.
So, if so, it would have to be some sort of thing where, like, the Shinigami King is reincarnated, or maybe he absorbs the essence of specifically the people that touch. Because, like, a demon writes a name in a death note and they get to keep the lifespan, right?
Yeah.
So maybe because they mentioned that any person who's touched the death note does not like go to heaven or hell, and they're kind of left in limbo afterwards, or anyone who messes with a death note has to have their name written in it by the end of it, I think is what Ryuk said. It's just kind of an unwritten agreement between Shinigami and his death note user. So I could see it in the sense that maybe these special cases of people who've used death notes and things like that, when they die, instead of heaven or hell, they get transferred directly to the Shinigami King, and maybe it could be that way. But I'm pretty sure it maybe hasn't been said, but it's pretty much, I mean, I feel like it should be implied that Shinigami King was around well before Light.
Oh yeah, the Shinigami King guy. I meant like that Shinigami that was the star of that little one shot being Light.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I completely misunderstood you. Went on a little
A
rant there.
little
So,
tangent. It's okay. It's
hey,
okay.
it's a little nice. It's a little nice. A little something for y'all to enjoy at home. Uh, so, anyways, back to the one shot that they just put out. So, anyways, dude decides he's gonna wait for 2 years, and that kind of threw me off. But once you find out how young he is, it makes sense. I mean, if he's that smart, he knows he's not ready to do whatever he's gonna do with it.
Yeah, especially seeing like how he was only really smart when it came to kind of tactical stuff. He wasn't the best learner or the most intelligent when it came to the practical school knowledge and everything.
Well, here's the thing: is I think he's just lazy.
Hey, shout out for the boys that was lazy but told they were geniuses.
This is how I was, man. I failed all kinds of classes, ditched all kinds of school, but man, if I wasn't advanced on all the freaking tests.
Man, they put me in every advanced course or class that they could since elementary school, and I just stopped doing work. And I was like, I'm done, and ended up failing. And I was like, cool, what's up?
I was an honor roll student until high school, and then just decided, nah.
Yeah, I never did school. I just sat there staring into space.
They made it too easy for us, man. It was too easy. No one cared.
Yeah, I remember one teacher that actually cared, but that's neither here nor there.
Exactly. So, anyways, 2 years later, he hits him up, and he decides he's gonna sell it. That drove me nuts. Like, how are you gonna sell this thing? Everyone's gonna like.
I was mad upset about that. I was like,
to,
dude, if I had the Death Note, I'd be using it, but you know what? Maybe that's why I don't have
well,
it.
I understand though. He's immediately just like, you can't do it. Like, they learned about Kira in their history books, bro, and like ethics class and things like that. It's not something you could do now, and it's something that, like, I think, I don't know. He's not good or bad. He didn't really give me the vibe either way, but he didn't seem like the kind of person who just wants that trouble. Why? 'Cause he's lazy.
You're right. He really didn't care to try to outdo anything. He was just
No,
like, what is the best course of action for me? Not for the world, for
exactly.
me. You know?
And dude, and by the end of it, well, he found it until that rule. But anyways, back to this.
Upsetting.
The best part of when he decided to sell it. So when he sends Ryuk down to that TV station, it cuts to just Ryuk standing there in front of the TV, and they're like, "It's invisible," but you see it zoomed out, and he's kind of standing there all funky, just they can't see me right now. You know, one of those things. I love it.
It was great. Anybody that actually could see him, like the reader and everything, just like saw it and was like, "Oh, okay." So just
This is
awkwardly gonna
awesome.
stand there. Got
Yeah,
it.
this is awesome. I see what you're doing. This guy's desperate for some apples. He's getting those withdrawals.
Oh yeah, man. He's starting to have the ticks and the scratches and everything.
But the craziest thing was when he decided to use Twitter, and my immediate thought was, okay, before you had to keep it secret from the one person that you were trying to buy it from, and now you're just gonna throw it out to the whole world. Like, what the heck is going on here?
See, but how much I'm on Twitter, like I know those hashtags would blow up, and I would just be on it just to see what was going on, and
So bad.
like,
You'd even have people on like Instagram and Facebook who aren't on Twitter, just like, hey, my hashtag's here. Check me out. Let me buy
right?
it. But as he knew, eventually it got to a point where it wasn't going to be one single person who could pay for it anymore.
Yeah, like entire countries, of course, are gonna start bidding for this one, like piece of paper, basically that can wipe out another nation.
Which led up to the part that made me laugh the hardest. Inner Donald Trump.
Dude, I always get so happy when manga use an American president. Like I remember Air Gear used Barack Obama.
Yeah, not just like a past one or like some generic white dude who looks like he'd be president. I want to see them
Yeah.
use the real freaking guy.
Like Air Gear came out back in the day, but they literally had Barack Obama rolling around in rollerblades, and I was like, "This is the best thing
What?
ever." Yeah,
What was this?
Air Gear. You don't know Air Gear?
No, but real quick, it's making me think, just to let you know, I saw this as on GoGo Anime the other day. There's a Gundam versus Hello Kitty.
What?
Yeah, they did a team. They like teamed up for an anime. Gundam Wing and Hello Kitty teamed up for an anime.
Just so long as Hello Kitty is the primary part of that, I'm cool and I'll watch it. No, I'm
Dude, no,
kidding.
yeah, no, listen. So, like, I watched the trailer just for the heck of it. Just for the heck of it, because I saw this. I was like, oh my gosh, does this really exist? And so it starts off, and you got Hello Kitty watching Gundam Wing on her couch, and, like, main dude starts getting his butt beat, starts blowing up, all kinds of stuff. Next thing you know, Hello Kitty's, like, transporting herself into space and like is just some celestial being helping them fight.
Oh wow, that's a little much, you know.
So yeah, and that was about all I saw before I was just laughing too hard to continue. And I don't think I can watch it, but I was intrigued for sure.
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of anime recently, and I don't think I'm gonna put that at the top of my list. It'll be there.
Oh, you know who would like that? I think Joe would like that.
You know, I think a lot of people from the group would like that.
Man.
We know some characters.
I'm gonna have to share that.
Julia would probably watch it.
But yeah, Julia would know the right people to share it with too. Oh man. Anyways, back to this one shot since we keep going back. That was in that was in All Grown Up, right? Who was L now?
Yeah, that was definitely
Nia?
near.
Okay, I wasn't sure because I know they showed him in the other one shot. He just pretty much came out and he was like, "I'm not gonna take this case on. It's not worth
Because
my
like
time."
he already knew that he lost before it happened. You know, he's gonna sell it.
Yeah,
He's not gonna
well-
use it. I really can't get on to somebody for selling something. So
And then he's gonna distribute all of the money to all of Japan and lose all of his memories. So all of a sudden he's rich and has no memory. of
bro,
them. It's the perfect
it would be perfect
crime.
because he would literally not only not know how he made all that money, but have all that money and still be good. America, for buying the Death Note,
Exactly.
literally made all of Japan one of the wealthiest countries in the world.
Exactly. Cleared him out of debt and then made everyone millionaires.
And the worst part about it is America got nothing for it.
No. Well, you know what? Here's the thing is, I highly doubt America was buying it just to store it and keep it safe
Oh, yeah.
so no one else in the world will use it. But at least now they got kept true to their word.
Yeah, they okay. Well,
They bought it to protect the world from it. They mission accomplished. They probably didn't mean to. but mission accomplished.
Accidentally put the Death Note into like the archives, never to be seen
Exactly.
again.
Yeah. Oh man, this was such a good one shot, and so it was an ultimate power move. Like it was funny because I feel like they made Trump look like a decent guy in this. Of course, the whole time he was just like, "Oh, I'm not getting the Death Note," and he starts sweating. You know, it's like I
See,
was
I
wanting
feel
this
like that
thing, man.
was,
And you know that guy had plans for it. You know
yeah,
that
that would
orange-haired
definitely
freak
be
had
how
plans.
Trump reacted to the whole situation. Like, I'm not even fronting, like, Trump is cool on a lot, Trump is real bad on a lot, but, like, that right there is basically his entire way of how he would operate in the public eye.
Exactly, exactly. Well, maybe just a little more unrational tweets along the way.
Oh yeah, no, he would be like, he
Why?
wouldn't even use like a fake account from the very get go. He'd be like, "Oh, America is buying this. Here's my bid." He'd be bidding on it on his actual personal Twitter.
Today, we have decided we're going to sell all of Trump Towers to acquire the Death Note. We've decided this will be the best option. This is the greatest trade deal in the history of trade deals.
Can we understand for a second that Trump would probably sell California to try to get the Death
Or
Note?
Alaska back to the Russians.
Oh man, we would. Yeah, Japan just ruined us by selling a
Oh, dude.
weapon like that.
Well, and I mean, we were already, what, how many trillions of dollars in debt? What's another, whatever the heck it was?
That number was way too large. It was. I can't even remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's definitely not a small number. So, but
And trust me, I know numbers. There's no number that was actually bigger than that number that I put up for the death.
But you know, the one sad thing is that until the very end of this manga, I actually thought he was gonna get away with it. I thought he was gonna live.
He really should have, and I feel like that's something that I always have a problem with Death Note. Even though I love Death Note, it's one of my favorite series. By
They
the
have
end of
no problem taking out the main character. Well,
Screwing
okay,
my
it's not that
favorite
they're taking
characters
out.
over.
Yeah, they're not taking out the main character. They're slowly transforming him into a guy that you think probably needs to be taken out. But I'm almost curious what like another 10 years with Light would have been like.
It would have been perfect. The perfect world.
The perfect world, ladies and gentlemen.
Because he had the vision, he had the potential, he had the ability, he had everything needed to do it. But
If you can conceive it and you can perceive it, you can achieve it.
oh man, he was like always one of my favorite characters throughout all of the different manga that I watched. Like favorite main characters.
Mm-hmm.
Light Yagami, greatest.
Yeah, see, I really got into it. I had a friend who her life was taken from her in 2016, and she's the one that got me into Death Note. And it is just great, and at this point I have to make sure I rewatch the anime at least once a year. But I'm considering reading the manga. I heard it wasn't very much different, but like I said, there's about a 3-year time difference from when the story starts, so there's a technological difference in part of the story as well.
I think in the manga they do skip time a little bit after Light does die. No, not Light. After L dies, they have a little time skip and they let them build up and show everything that was going on.
But I do know the manga. I do know the manga ends in 2010. The year in the manga is 2010 when it ends, compared to the anime. The anime is 2013. Not our time, but like in the show.
See, I don't know. I just read it recently, but I can't remember the years that they said in the manga. So yeah, I'm not the greatest when it comes to remembering anything outside of One Piece for some reason.
Oh, you're good. Yeah, no, I definitely remember reading that though. Is the manga Light? You meet Light in 2003 and he dies in 2010, but in the anime you meet him in 2006 and he dies in 2013.
Okay.
That's how it is. Not yeah, that's what I mean. Like not our time. In his world. In his world
Yeah.
manga, it starts in 03. In his world anime, it starts 06. So there's a difference with like cell
Wait
phones
a
and things
second.
like that in the manga.
Do
between
you
the
think
show.
that you think they might have done that because like when the manga was released it was earlier, and when the anime released they like put the time in there as a reflection of how long it took for the anime versus the manga to come out?
I think that's part of it. Is I think is they kept it just current. Like Death Note's definitely one of those anime that takes place in our world.
Yeah.
So I think they did that. They kept it current, and you know the manga. I mean, let me bring this up here, but it would make sense that the manga probably released in 2003.
Well,
And
while you are looking all that up, I just want to talk about Air Gear for a second as like a little cameo for Barack Obama, and how they had an accident in the Air Gear where they switched Barack Obama's mind with a different character's mind, and it was kind of insulting to Obama, but at the same time, his mind was in a teenage girl's body, and it
whoa,
was super funny.
might have to check this out.
Air Gear is one of my favorite manga. It's like, I think it was the first manga that I actually ever read. It was right there next to One Piece. It was Air Gear and One Piece that I was sitting in the
Huh.
cafeteria every day just reading back and forth.
So that's exactly what happened. Is it looks like it's one of those manga where they keep current stories. So the manga was released in 2003. So the setting for the manga is 2003, but the
Nice.
anime was released in 2006. So the setting for the anime is 2006. But
Okay.
it's still
Yeah,
the
I like
same.
that.
It's still the same world, and there's nothing different with Light's age or anything. It's just as if he was born 3 years later in the world.
Yeah, that's real cool. That like works so well. It just makes me happy, you know?
Well, and I believe, there was a difference in technology as well between the story. I mean, nothing big. I think they just had cell phones a little bit earlier or something like that. I don't fully
Yeah.
remember, but
Oh, so the chip scene where he was like reaching in the bag, they probably used just like a newer
I
model
believe,
or whatever.
yeah, I believe that is. I believe that's an anime only scene actually.
No, I know in the manga for sure they had he had a little throwaway TV that they had in the chip bag, cuz that's in the anime and the manga it's still one of the most epic scenes to have ever like been for just eating a chip, you know.
Yeah, oh, it was crazy in the anime. I loved it. It's one of the most intense scenes in anime of
Then
all time.
I ate a chip.
A chip. Oh man.
How do you make eating a chip that like epic? Like come on, man.
Oh, dude, it is nuts. I just they did such a good job, such a great job. I think. And then
I always loved Death Note. Like I need to get that whole series. Like right now I'm missing one volume of One Piece, but probably this second or third check from now I'm probably just gonna buy all of Death Note just because.
see, so like in the anime when L died, he didn't say anything, but in the manga he said, "I knew I was right."
Yeah, in the anime and the manga and L's death it was pretty different, and it was a little intense in the anime, I guess. They really oversold it, but in the manga, it was just kind of he already accepted his death, and Light kept pushing him to like keep going. But then after like it goes so far and everything happens the way it does, L just is giving up, and then dies. But in the anime, he's like bowing down, kissing feet, doing all of that extra.
Yeah, he did. He did a lot of crazy stuff in that to try and I don't know, hide himself, I guess, or fool him anyway. At least keep the upper hand. It's just weird sometimes.
Hey man, do what you gotta do to win, but he
Dude,
didn't
dude-
win, so he's just a
No,
loser.
dude was definitely a freaky character, but I grew to like him really quick actually. So it sucked to see him go. He was definitely one of the sadder anime deaths.
Yeah, especially like how close I kind of got with him after that whole tennis match. That one was one of my favorite scenes in Death Note, not gonna lie.
That was a really good scene, definitely, because they're both just trying to analyze. It was one of the first times we got to really see them go up against each other, and do the whole, well, he's going to do this, but then if he does this, then he might expect that I do this, so I need to do this. But then if he's doing that purposely, he knows I'm going to do this, and then I'll switch this way because I'm that smart, so I need to do. Oh, dude, it was just
But
so
my
nuts.
question is, didn't Light win?
Think so, because he was like, if I win, I prove I'm Kira, but if I don't win, then it's suspicious because I'm not gonna have won.
Yeah,
I don't know, man.
They like went back and forth on if I do this, but then it would mean two different things, and like I get all of that, but at the same time,
Yeah.
y'all are just overthinking, man. Just
See,
play the game.
And the craziest part was like for the first half of that story, you get Light's POV. You kind of see things from his angle, so you always know when he's gonna one up L. When Light's surprised, you're surprised. The second half of the story is not that way. We just see
Yeah.
back and forth until someone finally loses, and we're just like, is it them? Is it them? Is it them? Is it
Yeah, I
them?
feel like
Is it
that's
them?"
one reason why I might not have liked the ending of Death Note as much, because it wasn't as centered around Light as previously.
Yeah, I just man, I wish Light would have been a little different at death and not so.
Pussy.
I'm a god. I'm great. I'm just
running away.
You should
and
not
crying.
have done this to me in a minute. I don't know, man. It was just nuts.
Yeah, he's not a D clan member, you know. He can't always smile at the face of death like that.
Yep.
Not everybody's built like that, man.
He should have. For all he did, he should have known it was coming eventually.
It would have been really cool if he stood in the face of his own death and was like, I've already changed the world so far that it's not going to matter. I think it's already a better place because of me.
I think part of the reason he couldn't have that realization was because he didn't realize how much he had already changed the world. He was the one doing it from the outside in. Oh, I mean, I don't really think I'm saying that right, but he was the one doing the changes. You don't see the changes as much when you're not affected by them.
Yeah. But, like, they repeated it a couple times throughout the anime and the manga. Like, the type of people that would pick up the Death Note and do what he did, if they were older, it was probably for financial gain. If they're younger or childish, they're doing it as
a sense of justice.
But right around a certain age, they talked about how, like, it was like a whole god complex, and he didn't just want to make the world a better place. He wanted to make the world a better place and rule. So, like, since he wasn't able to rule, then he was all upset and childish about it, and it was...
Exactly. Which shows he was a mere man.
Nice, I like that.
Kira was no god. He was a mere man.
See, but could a man actually do that if they were given the powers of God? Philosophical questions coming out.
Yeah, I'll have to give you an answer on the next episode, I guess. Anything else you want to bring up today, Michael?
You know what? I went over Air Gear for no good reason. I liked Air Gear. It's my favorite. I just want to real quick say my top 3 manga choices.
Yeah, go.
It's One Piece, Kingdom, Air Gear.
Okay.
Top 3. I say everyone has to read.
Next episode, bring your Kingdom knowledge so you can talk to me about it, because I've heard a lot about Kingdom and I want to get into it. So let's talk about that next episode, because it's on my list for sure. But I'd have to say right now, One Piece, Kimetsu no Yaiba, and My Hero Academia are the 3 top manga I'm reading. If I'm being honest, they're the only 3 manga I'm reading. But
I could release like a whole list of my 20 or so manga that I'm keeping up with right now.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm keeping up with a lot, like weekly plus monthly.
An old one
ones.
I need to go back to right now that I keep seeing stuff about is Samurai Champloo.
Oh, I should actually read that. I've never read that. Only watched it.
Anime?
Yeah, I've only watched it.
Good. Haven't read it either. I've watched it.
Dude,
a few times,
if I actually go and read that manga, like I would just have to play that soundtrack, you know. Sharp at the edge of a samurai. Come on.
It's a good one. It's definitely a good one. We have our talking points to the next podcast, so everybody watch out for it. If you're interested, look out for it. We're going to have that episode dropping here within hopefully a few days.
Let's go.
Awesome. Well, awesome. Hey everybody, thank you for checking out the podcast today, and if you like what you heard, you can always find more episodes on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Please give us a like and subscribe, and always watch out for more content. Thank you.